Hey everybody, welcome to Dad Talk. Today we are at Turning Point here in Tampa, Florida, and I am sitting next to Mr. Michael Knowles. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me with you.
Yes, sir. So we do Dad Talk on this show, and from what I hear, you are a new dad.
I'm a new dad. It's funny, I've been on the road now a little over a week. I was at a conference in Orlando. Now I'm here at Turning Point. I decided to take my wife and child on the conference. I didn't want to be away that long. I've learned a new lesson as a father. 6-month-old babies do not want to be in your hotel room during a business conference, so they went back after a few days. But 6 months old, they need their home. They need to be a little more comfortable.
Well, that's crazy you say that. My wife, we've been doing this for about a year and a half. The first one she's got to come to was this one. I brought her here with me, and it's hard getting away from your family, but we're doing it for a reason. I feel like we're at a war for our nation right now, and the breakdown of the family has been a real target, especially for the left as of late, and the fatherless epidemic is running wild now. Now with you being a new father and knowing what that means to you, how does it make you feel knowing, I think it's 1 out of every 3 children in the United States are without their father right now? We're facing a fatherless epidemic like we never have before. African American community, we're right at 80% of the homes are without a dad.
80%, that number's insane. I remember when it was 70% like 3 days ago. It just seems to be getting worse, worse and worse and worse. And, it's an important insight because I think one of the big political problems that we've had for the past few decades is we think that the left wants collectivism, communism, socialism, whatever, and the right has countered that with individualism, and that's the opposite, right? But it's not. I actually think radical individualism and radical collectivism, they're two sides of the same coin. The radicals split everyone up into atoms so that they can bundle them back together in the collective. The actual opposite of collectivism or hyper-individualism is the family, which is the fundamental political institution. It's the bedrock of any society, which is why all of the attacks that you see from the radical left, but even from the squishy right, they're attacks on the family, redefining the family, encouraging people not to have children, encouraging people to have, if they are going to have children, to have them out of wedlock in these very, very destructive sort of situations, encouraging contraception, encouraging abortion, encouraging all this manner of family chaos, because ultimately it's a method of political control.
Yep, you're right. We talk to a lot of dads too who are going through the family court system or fighting to be a dad, and they don't realize the epidemic and they don't realize the problem until they're caught up in it, or they don't realize how important family is until they themselves become a dad. So tell us a little bit, how has your perspective changed since you became a dad?
So through an act of either providence or cosmic sadism, my book and my first baby were both due on the same day. I actually finished writing the manuscript. I go into my wife, I looked at her belly, I said, all right, buddy, you can come now. 5 hours later, she's in labor. But I still had to do my sort of footnotes and things. So I look like the most callous husband in the world. I'm in the labor room, she's screaming. I'm just like, can you keep it down? I'm trying to do my notes. And so they both came in. And one thing that struck me, I finished this book, I'd put 1.5 years of my life into it, really poured my heart and soul into this book. And then the baby comes out, and I realized that my book, which I think is a good book, it doesn't matter that much, that actually the kid is obviously much more important. And so the other thing I discovered when I had my son, well, I didn't have it. I know these days a man can have a child, but my wife,
they cannot. But
yes, is the other thing I realized is my 2 biggest regrets, I think, are that I didn't get married sooner, and related, that I didn't start having kids sooner. We are told in our culture, wait, push it off, play the field, you're not ready, make some more money, do this, do that. And for women, it's really bad because there's sort of a shelf life, on fertility. And I'm seeing some of my friends now are dealing with the effects of those cultural lies. But in men too, men just become degenerates and very selfish. And so when you get married and start a family, you are entering into society, right? You're making a vow before God and before the people. This is why it's a public matter. This is why divorce is not just a private matter, too. It's a public matter. And so I really would encourage people to do it younger. My friends who have gotten married younger, started having kids younger, generally speaking, they tend to be happier and more stable people than the ones who move to the coasts, work in the widget company, doing spreadsheets until they're 50, and then trying to have a life then.
Yeah. What are some solutions that you think we could kind of put in place to kind of bring that nuclear family back together? I believe the media plays a big part in that with some of the stories, but it seems like it's not talked about as much. But I'm curious, just, with you being in media, some of the solutions that you think we could bring together as a nation to kind of really bring those family values to the forefront.
Well, there's a cultural aspect. We need, right now, the only masculinity that is tolerated or is in some ways celebrated is the big oaf, dumb idiot dad on the sitcoms,
Yep.
right?
That's it, yeah.
And the sort of football and beer and the man cave masculinity, but I don't have a man cave because I think a man's home is his castle, but you're really not allowed to say that anymore. And father knows best kind of masculinity, that's not permitted. And a sacrificial but a leading kind of masculinity, that's not permitted. It's just these ridiculous caricatures. So we need to restore that in the culture without question. And part of that is religious literacy and education. So that has taken a real hit, and you're not going to have a flourishing family if you don't have that. But there's a political dimension too, which is right now it is very difficult to support a family on one income. So women have to go work, and it creates a weird situation where you have to pay another woman to raise your kid so that your wife can go work for another man and get paid to pay the babysitter. Very bizarre situation. And that has been largely encouraged not just by the left, but by the right as well. I mean, the right has allowed that to happen. And I think that in part it's because we've made an idol out of trade and markets and GDP, and I think we need to recognize there is something even more fundamental than that. And if you are not conserving the family, the fundamental political institution, you're not conserving anything.
You're right. We have to redefine what it is to be successful. And successful, I think, to me, is having a successful marriage, kids who are healthy. And it's been nice because the last couple of years, politicians they're talking about this more, and they're saying, we need to make some fundamental changes. But so far, there's been a lot of lip service. We haven't seen a whole lot of legislation to actually change anything. So what do you think will motivate our politicians to actually take what they say, write it on paper, and push some legislation that'll...
So you're seeing, I think it's a very astute point, you're seeing lip service now, especially from candidates, say J.D. Vance, running for the Senate in Ohio, the guy who wrote Hillbilly Elegy. You're seeing it from Blake Masters running in Arizona. These are very exciting candidates because Blake Masters, I think, came out and said it is an important conservative policy that a family be able to be supported on one income.
That's right.
Now that's a beautiful statement. And I don't know those guys very well, J.D. or Blake, but part of it, I'm sure, is that they're seeing the way the political winds are turning, and this is what people want, and this is what people are calling for. So the fear is that it ends up being another Tea Party. You remember the Tea Party? They had all these great ideas, and then they get into power and they don't do anything. Yeah. And they were prevented from doing things by the liberal establishment. So a candidate like a J.D. Vance, a candidate like a Blake Masters, they obviously have their finger on the pulse. However, I think we need to put the fear of God, literally the fear of God, into Republicans, because I think if they think that they can pull a Tea Party 2.0, dupe everyone for the votes and then don't change a damn thing, well, then they're going to end up with Obama, and then they're going to end up with really, a destructive kind of liberal establishment. And but the only thing that will work on the politicians is fear.
You're right. Fear and money, right?
And money,
Votes and money.
Right.
That's right. Michael, I love all the points that you brought up. I mean, there's so many different aspects that people might not recognize that play into this fatherless issue and the breakdown of the family, especially when it comes to the economy, having both parents inside the house. And for anybody that would like to hear some more on this, I know you got some things that you're doing, some shows. Could you tell everybody where they can find you?
Absolutely. You can find me at the Daily Wire at the Michael Knowles Show. You can find me at PragerU. I host the book club show. You can find me at Verdict with Senator Ted Cruz, and you can find, this is most important, my new book, Speechless, Controlling Words, Controlling Minds. That one has words in it. My previous book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, has no words in it. You can find me on Twitter for now, Michael J. Knowles, but big tech might just boot all those things away, so they might all be gone by the time you left.
Hey, man, I appreciate it so much, and congratulations on the fatherhood.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great to be with you.
Thanks, man. Hey everybody, Eric Carroll here. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. While we fight for you, we would ask for you to please help fight for us. Like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notifications every time we go live. There's also Super Chats, patreon.com/dadtalktoday, and other ways you can support our channel. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.